Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, obviously, hit that like button. If you haven't already or you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button? And last but by no means least, why not drop a comment down below? One, goes a massive way to helping out the channel, and two, and even more importantly, I love hearing back from you guys, whether you're just stopping by to say hello, whether you want to comment and say whatever your favourite Age of Sigmar faction is, if there's certain minis that you're looking forward to with this magazine, or if you just want, to ask somebody who's probably not always the best person to ask for any tips, tricks and all that type of stuff, or even, really handy tools. I will try and help you as much as I possibly can, and but if I can't help you, I'm sure somebody else in the comments will be able to. Anywho, enough jabbering on. This week we are on issue number 15 of Spearhead, and it is the start of a new Spearhead faction. So, this Spearhead is the Seraphon. The Seraphon are really, really cool. They are the lizard men. So, they are super, super cool. Obviously, this week is part 1 of 2, so you get 2 sprues. And next week we'll get the 3rd sprue and the bases, so we can get all of them built up and ready. You will be able to build some of these chappies up right now, which you're more than welcome to, in all honesty. It's worth doing. These are not push fit models, so they should have less gaps, should be the operative word there, but we'll see about that. And these are also the newer versions of the Saurus Warriors that are really, really cool. So I must admit, Seraphon are one of my favourite factions. One, I love dinosaurs, and two, these guys are very reminiscent of dinosaurs. They do also have some build options, which is super cool. So you have the options whether to have them with spears or with the clubs. Now, if I remember rightly, the war scroll for these in Spearhead Games is using the clubs. I may be wrong on that. I may have completely forgotten it, but I can't remember where I put my Spearhead book. But they are really cool. So you get 10 of these chaps all together, and they're very, very cool. But yeah, should be really good fun to make them up. Happy days. I'm really tempted to get another copy of this week's issue and next week's issue, and probably the one after with wherever comes up with the Croxicals and stuff like that. Anywho, the other thing we get with this week's issue is a dry brush. Now, it is only a small dry brush, but very, very handy, and we will discuss dry brushing and what dry brushing is very soon. So, for now, I suppose we should crack on with the magazine. So, this week's issue we first greeted by the Seraphon themselves. The Seraphon are an ancient reptilian people crafted by the gods called the Old Ones. They emerge from the impenetrable jungles or from the heavens above to join in ferocious battle across the realms. They seek nothing less than the total annihilation of chaos, and they let nothing and nobody stand in their way. The ground shakes as across the fields of battle stride mighty primordial monsters. They are urged on by their lizard man handlers and flanked by wrathful warriors as they lumber into battle. The air is rent by the occult magics of the Slan priests, who manipulate ancient energies capable of upturning reality itself. The skies are darkened by darts and arrows as the onslaught begins. So, the Seraphon are, cool. I must admit, I love the Seraphon. So, you will find out more and more about the Seraphon and their uniqueness, but in old world terms, the Seraphon, aka the Lizard Men, were an ancient race from Lustria, and the jungles of Lustria, and the new world towards the kind of, if you're looking at the map, and like places like the Empire is pretty much slap bang in the middle to the left of Ulthuan, and places like that, and the Elven Kingdoms. And yeah, super cool. They utilise the webways, these old paths that the old ones had created. There are the Slan, who are these big toad-like amphibious creatures who look after and kind of rule over the seraphon and stuff like that. In terms of Age of Sigmar, the seraphon have unique abilities. So they utilise a lot of flying pyramids and ziggurats and stuff like that. And they can also kind of, in some of the stories, they've been able to teleport in to places and stuff like that. So, for instance, like I think it's a Callus and Toll Silver Tower novel, they teleport in and everything like that. I think it's that one anyway, but I might be wrong on that, and it might be another one. But they are really, really cool. They are super, super cool units. We get a bit more information about the Dracotheon as well. So the history of the Seraphon is veiled in myth and legend. Even the wise amongst them hesitate to speak with authority on the deep past. However, it is believed that after the fall of their world, the Seraphon were lost in the void, drifting in great ships. There, they discovered Dracotheon, the great Drake, and forged a telepathic link with him, eventually coming to the mortal realms under his guidance. And then there is the Great Plan. So the old ones crafted the realms, and including the old world. They apparently crafted the old world in lore to the kind of the Great Plan, and then obviously Chaos just throws a spanner in that works. So yeah, as it does. But you know, they are super cool. They have some super cool lore, and I should do some lore videos maybe. But yeah, they are one of my favourite factions. They have some very, very unique lore to them, which is cool. Then obviously we have our build guide for this week's minis. So the one thing that I will mention, actually, although you can start building some of your Seraphon warriors, we have not got the heads for any of them. So that'll be on the next sprue. So you'll be able to build some of the bodies up. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, headless Seraphon isn't always the best way forward. And as every part's numbered, you may want to kind of control it a little bit more and stuff like that. But super, super cool stuff. And you do have some build options, as I say, including things like the Icon Bearer has some slight build changes that can be done with him, which is pretty damn nifty. Cool. So yeah, it's a relatively straightforward build guide. It's, yeah, very straightforward. Not gonna lie. Yeah, dead easy. Now, we are going to talk about paint techniques. Now, we're learning here about a technique called dry brushing. So, there are different types of dry brushes that you can have. You can have large dry brushes, you can have small dry brushes. Now, we get a small dry brush, which is okay for some things. So for some finer detail on certain minis. So for instance, if I grab, try and spot one of my minis that I've actually used some dry brushing on. So for instance, on my Ogre from the Grand Cafe Army, the metalwork on the good old van braces, the cannonball and the blade and stuff like that, I used a dry brush on there, and I used a small dry brush on there to kind of give it that little scratched up kind of look to it. Now, it is also very, very handy for painting terrain, but using a brush that big on a large piece of terrain is, yeah, it's like throwing a McDonald's fries down an alleyway. It's pretty pointless. Now, the one thing I will say is if you want to cover a bigger area in a faster amount of time, get yourself some cheap makeup brushes from B&M Bargains or Amazon or anywhere pretty much, or nick them off your sister or something like that. Just don't do that really. Make sure they are new brushes because you don't want loads of gunk in there or anything like that. You're going to use a little tiny bit of paint from there. You're going to wipe off the excess just like you do on here. But however, if you're using a makeup brush, they have bigger bristles, They have more bristles, they have finer bristles than what you get with majority of other paintbrushes, and they are super, super soft. So they are very handy for going over large areas of terrain and getting onto all the raised edges. So I would fully recommend doing something like that. I mean, I've got several makeup brushes and yeah, they are very, very thin for, you know, makeup brushes. It is what it is. But really, really cool. You can also get smaller makeup brushes like the one I was just showing you there, which can be good for minis. So for instance, if you're going to paint up your sauruses or anything like that, and you want to bring up some highlighting colour or anything like that, instead of doing all your edge highlight by hand and by eye and everything like that with a fine brush, use a dry brush. It'll make your life so much easier dry brushing across to get that kind of colour back up and everything like that, and then add your detail in over the top. Makes life so much easier. You're going to also be finding that a technique will work very, very well for you when you're doing things like the Carnosaur or the Croxagores or anything like that, and anything like fur, cloaks, everything like that. It can work absolutely wonders. So it's definitely worth doing. So yeah, your choice. Anywho, the other thing we're going to have a little chat about is colour theory. So colour theory is obviously your balancing of colours as you go. So during the guide, we're going to learn about how to pick colours for your army. So there is no correct way to paint your miniatures. If you want to go bright pink with everything, you can go bright pink. However, there are ways of making everything look like it actually flows pretty well, and so certain colours work very, very well with certain other colours. So for instance, go through your Stormcast tunnels using things like your more brassy kind of colours, using dark blue and white and stuff like that can work very, very well. Same with your yellow and darker colours, also works very, very well. So you can kind of invent your own colour schemes by utilising that blend of how to get the colours just right. If you go with a lot of bright colour, sometimes it doesn't work very well and it can look a bit too colourful and too flamboyant and everything like that, which isn't always a bad thing, but sometimes it can go a bit far the other way. Also, with your minis, you can do it with pretty much anything. So if you wanted to do it with the Arceot Bone Reapers when we get them, go for it. Can't say I blame you. Personally, I'm going to go very much your standard kind of Wraith Boney kind of colour, maybe a darker shade of that. And then I'm going to go with a, I don't know, probably red kind of shield, maybe even blue. I don't know yet. I haven't fully decided. But there's ways of kind of building it up and changing how it goes. And every way that you do it can change how your mini looks, which is very, very important and makes everything a bit more unique and a bit more distinct to your colour palette and the way you want to paint. So for instance, I know very well that, you know, for colours, the main Stormcast Eternal army that I have, which is the Lions of Sigmar, the darker purple, works very, very well with gold and stuff like that. I also know that the kind of the teal turquoise of the good old Celestial Vindicators and stuff like that works very, very well with gold and silver, for instance. And if you really, really want a nice colour scheme, for the colour scheme that we had with the kind of the special faction, should I say, for good old Stormbringer, and the unique faction for the Stormcast Eternals was that colour, which was pretty cool. Which I must admit, I really, really like that colour scheme. Red armour with white cloak and silver, instead of having a load of gold on there, works very, very well. So there's loads of ways of getting really, really good colour schemes out of everything and working it out, but it's just balancing them colours. There are some really, really great apps if you want to play about with colours that you can get. So if you've got an iPhone or an Android phone, and you can, it does cost you a little bit of money, but you know, there's an app called ImpCat, which is very, very handy, and then you can download the files online and upload them, and you can kind of digitally paint your minis. So it's definitely worth having a try out and muck around with. Now, we've talked enough about paint, I think, today. We're going to move on. Obviously, moving on, we've carried on with basics and what we've learned so far. So we're going to move on to weapon abilities. But obviously, we need to go back over what we've learned about mortal damage and ward saves and how to utilise those. Building those up, obviously, there are certain ways of doing things, including your strike first and strike last abilities, and so on. Moving on from there, we do get more information about our weapon abilities though. So obviously some weapon abilities are going to have certain effects. So for instance, they may have an anti-wizard, so they'll have a +1 rend or anything like that. Some weapons may have an ability where it's got piercing and stuff like that. So there are different ways of going through it, and also, you know, different things. So it's definitely worth obviously keeping an eye on your war scrolls is very, very handy, and utilizing them the correct way is super, super cool. And that's about it. So obviously going through all of that, obviously you can play your standoff as well now, so you can actually utilize your 2 complete spearheads of the Skaven and Stormcast Eternal. So utilising your Grace here, Warlock Engineer, Rat Ogres, 20 Clan Rats, but not using your Claw Lord, which is a bit of a shame. Going up against Lord Vigilant, Lord Veritant, 5 Liberators, and Prosecutors. So you can have a bit of a fun battle with that one if you wanted to, but pretty cool stuff. Moving on from there. So while I haven't got the full list of how everything's going to break down, obviously next week we have part 2 of our Seraphon Warriors. Issue 17 is terrain, so it's our first bit of terrain. Issue 18, we're going to, I can't remember what's meant to be issue 18, but we're going to get obviously the Croxagores. That should be over, probably going to be over 2 issues. In all honesty, it shouldn't be because there's only 3 of them, but it probably will be because they need to spread it out. I think we've got another paint issue coming up in the very, very, very near future, and then the good old Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur will be split across 2 issues as well, if I remember rightly. And then we actually move on to the Slaves to Darkness, so the Chaos Warriors of the good old Age of Sigmar, which, you know, are kind of being phased out from Age of Sigmar because they're going mainly to good old world, and we'll be left with the Dark Oath. So it may be your last chance to get these guys a bit cheaper. Anywho, enough rambling on from me. Thank you so much for watching. As soon as I have a full breakdown of what's going to come with each issue, I will upload it. You may also see the very, very long-winded versions of these, so I may give you some supercuts of the spearheads all put together. I've not fully decided yet, so I may go for a full Stormcast Eternal spearhead run, and it will just be the Stormcast Eternal's spearhead issues, and the same with Skaven, and the same with Seraphon and stuff like that as supercuts. Entirely up to you. I haven't quite decided if I am going to do it yet, but there'll be much longer videos, that's for sure. Anywho, enough rambling from me. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, as I say, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. Bye bye now.